Guys, a bunch of legal papers dropped last night revealing a ton of bombshells. I got Ron Zambrano back here to break it.
Narrator, she did not listen. She did not take my advice at all. I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint.
So how does that play into the subpoena issue?
So what's interesting is these words, upon information and belief. So when you file something in federal court, if you don't have that preamble or prefix in a sentence, it is being asserted under the rules of federal procedure that it is something that you know as personal knowledge.
A-list secrets, stolen messages, and a lawsuit that could destroy reputations across Hollywood. The industry had already been bracing for impact, but no one expected this. Just after midnight, a new wave of legal filings dropped, and they weren't just routine court updates. Actor Justin Baldoni, best known for his clean-cut image and philanthropic work, had officially broken his silence. His legal team filed a blistering response in a lawsuit that's been building for months, and the accusations inside were more than dramatic. They were damning. At the heart of the case was Stephanie Jones, a former associate now accused of something far more sinister than a professional dispute. According to Baldoni's court filing, Jones didn't just breach a contract. She crossed a line most people never even imagine. She had allegedly accessed the private iCloud account of Jennifer Abel, Baldoni's producing partner and close friend. This wasn't a one-time slip or accidental login. This was systematic, ongoing, and deeply invasive. For several months, Jones is accused of reading, tracking, and monitoring Abel's personal messages as they came in live. Every text, every call log, every note typed into her phone. It wasn't just gossip she was after.
There's some big reveals. Pretty much the takeaway that it looks like Stephanie Jones has had Jennifer Abel's phone this whole time, pretty much. Getting her legal notes, getting all of her correspondence, private correspondence for months. And so what does that actually mean? I'm going to get Ron's thoughts.
According to the documents, Jones had eyes on legal strategy sessions, confidential medical communications, and deeply personal exchanges with Abel's fiancé and family. Attorney-client discussions were being watched in real time, possibly giving Jones and her legal team a disturbing advantage in ongoing disputes. This wasn't just unethical. It could be a violation of multiple federal and state laws, including wiretap and fraud statutes. But the situation didn't end there. Even after their working relationship soured, and even after Abel changed her phone number in an effort to cut contact, the spying continued. She thought she was safe. She thought the intrusion was over. But Baldoni's legal team says she didn't realize that the access point was far more dangerous. Her iCloud account, not her phone number. And Jones still had it. That meant she was watching from the shadows, long after the trust had been broken. This was no longer just about a business fallout. It was about power, manipulation, and digital surveillance at a scale rarely seen in celebrity legal battles. The revelations in Baldoni's filing opened the floodgates. Hollywood insiders, legal analysts, and fans alike were left stunned as they tried to piece together just how deep the betrayal had gone. And this was only the beginning.
Well, look, again, it's a work in progress. If I had figured it out, the world would look different.
Jones didn't walk away when the professional relationship ended. She held on, quietly, secretly, and dangerously. According to court documents, Stephanie Jones retained access to Jennifer Abel's private iCloud account for months after their split. Abel had taken steps to protect herself. She changed her phone number, believing that would be enough to shut the door on any lingering digital ties. But she was wrong. What Abel didn't realize is that Apple devices don't work like that. Her phone number wasn't the key. Her Apple ID was, and Jones allegedly still had access to it. That meant Abel's digital life was still wide open. Everything Abel did on her phone, every private message, every calendar update, every late-night text to her fiancé or her legal team was reportedly syncing to a device she didn't control. Her confidential legal strategies, monitored, her emotional texts with family, watched, her medical updates, possibly read in real time. And the worst part? She had no clue. She thought the nightmare had ended. In reality, it had only just begun. But what happened next was even darker. Jones didn't just sit on the information, she allegedly used it. Court filings accuse her of taking the private data and feeding it to outside parties, specifically to individuals connected to Blake Lively's team and, eventually, to the New York Times. It wasn't a passive invasion of privacy.
Hey, something's fishy here, no?
Right, yes. And also, to go back to the attorney-client communications that might have been still accessible through access to Abel's phone, again, if Manat has access, or Lively's team has given Manat access to these communications.
It was, according to Baldoni's legal team, an active, calculated move to manipulate public perception and damage reputations. And to pull it off, they would need to make it all look legitimate. So began a tangled effort to cover the digital trail with legal paperwork, and what followed would twist the entire case into something far bigger than anyone expected. The story took a sharp turn when the New York Times entered the picture. According to newly filed court documents, the stolen messages from Jennifer Abel's iCloud weren't just hoarded in silence, they were reportedly handed over to none other than one of the most powerful news organizations in the country. And not just by anyone, the documents allege that these communications were passed along with the knowledge, and possibly the involvement, of Blake Lively's legal team. This wasn't rumor, it was spelled out in black and white within a formal legal complaint. But there was a problem. The New York Times didn't bite, at least not right away. Despite being given what was described as explosive behind-the-scenes information, the Times reportedly refused to publish anything from the cache of texts. Why? Because the messages appeared illegally obtained. According to the filings, the Times drew a clear ethical line. No subpoena, no story. They weren't going to risk publishing stolen data unless it had the color of law behind it. That's when things took a darker, more deceptive turn. Baldoni's legal team claims that, rather than stepping back, Jones and her allies crafted a workaround, a sham lawsuit designed specifically to generate a subpoena. On paper, it looked like a legitimate legal dispute.
The Agency Group PR LLC and Jennifer Abel, collectively the Wayfarer parties, we write to advise the court of an issue that the Wayfarer parties wish to address at the upcoming conference on Monday, February 3rd, 2025.
But according to the court complaint, it was never about justice. It was about optics. The subpoena wasn't meant to uncover truth in a courtroom. It was meant to give the New York Times just enough legal cover to go ahead and publish what they had been handed. And it worked. The lawsuit, referred to in the documents as the Von Zandt complaint, was allegedly staged to appear like a real legal proceeding. But in reality, Baldoni's side says it was orchestrated with one goal: to make the illegal look legal. That single document, the subpoena, transformed what would have been a blatant privacy violation into something that could be spun as journalistic investigation. Behind closed doors, it created plausible deniability for everyone involved, but in the eyes of Baldoni's team, it was nothing more than a fraud dressed up in legal jargon. This wasn't just about one celebrity feud or a messy business breakup. It was, according to the legal filings, a calculated campaign to sabotage an entire company. The court documents paint a disturbing picture. Wayfarer Studios, the film and media company co-founded by Justin Baldoni and deeply connected to Jennifer Abel, had been targeted in what is now being called a coordinated takedown.
So, well, let's go through some of these comments and I'll get your final thoughts of what this all you think how it's going to affect, because Friedman, even Stephanie Jones' attorney, they've all come in. Friedman blasted Jones, saying, in light of new evidence being uncovered almost daily, it's become imperative to amend our counterclaims against Stephanie Jones.
The allegations claim that Stephanie Jones didn't just stumble upon private messages. She systematically collected, curated, and weaponized them. While maintaining secret access to Abel's iCloud account, Jones allegedly funneled selected messages to Blake Lively's team, carefully editing the context to fit a damaging narrative. And it wasn't just about exposing drama. The complaint accuses Jones of altering the messages, cherry-picking fragments to paint Baldoni, Abel, and Wayfarer Studios in the worst possible light. These weren't accidental leaks. They were reportedly calculated drops, handed over to powerful hands with the intent to dismantle reputations, discredit leadership, and ruin trust in a rising entertainment brand. Wayfarer, known for socially conscious storytelling, was suddenly under attack. Not by a competitor, but by someone who had once been inside their inner circle. The accusations go far beyond bad ethics. According to the lawsuit, Jones's actions may have broken several major laws. Among them, the Federal Wiretap Act, which prohibits the intentional interception of private communications, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which criminalizes unauthorized access to computers and data, and multiple California privacy statutes designed to protect citizens from exactly this kind of digital invasion.
In Blake's first amended complaint, Blake changed what she alleges about what happened while filming the slow dance scene, now that the footage has been released for everyone to see.
If proven true, these violations don't just carry civil penalties, they could trigger federal investigations and serious criminal consequences. This wasn't a mistake. It was, as the documents allege, a premeditated, illegal scheme to crush reputations, manipulate the media, and sabotage a company from within. And the deeper the lawyers dig, the more disturbing the trail becomes. Baldoni's legal team didn't mince words. In a scathing section of the court filing, his attorney directly accused Blake Lively's legal team of knowingly engaging in misconduct. This wasn't a case of being misled or innocently caught up in a misunderstanding. According to the documents, Lively's side knew the messages they were receiving had been obtained without consent, and they moved forward anyway. The turning point, as detailed in the complaint, came when the New York Times reportedly raised serious red flags. The Times made it clear they wouldn't publish anything unless there was legal backing. No subpoena, no story. That warning set off a desperate chain reaction. Faced with the risk of losing the media weapon they had hoped to deploy,
Ryan, I would say, in my opinion, is plausibly the most guilty party of this entire thing, okay?
Ryan started the fire!
But anyways, he did file to be dismissed from the lawsuit. And that thesis is essentially that Ryan is actually such a good guy that he kind of had to be a bad guy.
Lively's team allegedly rushed to create a subpoena, not through standard legal procedure, but through what Baldoni's lawyers now call a sham lawsuit. This lawsuit, they claim, was never meant to settle real legal disputes. It was a carefully designed performance, built to create a single piece of paper, a court-issued subpoena that would appear to legitimize the illegally obtained texts. And it worked, at least for a while. With the subpoena in hand, the data could be handed off without immediate suspicion. The New York Times, seeing what looked like proper legal protocol, moved forward with the story. What followed was a carefully crafted media narrative, one that painted Baldoni, Abel, and Wayfarer Studios in a damning light. The damage was swift, reputations were questioned, public trust began to erode. The lawsuit claims this was the real goal all along. Not accountability, not truth, but character assassination carried out through legal theater and press manipulation. Baldoni's team argues this wasn't justice. It was strategy, and they're not backing down. Attorney Ronald Zambrano pulled back the legal curtain and explained just how serious the consequences could be. At the heart of the issue is California's powerful anti-SLAPP law, a legal shield designed to protect people, especially public figures, from frivolous lawsuits meant to silence them. Under normal circumstances, someone like Blake Lively would be protected by this statute, making it incredibly difficult to sue her over anything tied to speech or public commentary. But Zambrano made one thing clear. If Baldoni's team can prove malice, that protection could vanish in an instant.
And also, like, this is the most, like, divisive thing we've seen in a long time. You're either Team Justin or you're Team Blake. It's like the new, like, Team Jacob, Team Edward.
Malice, in legal terms, doesn't just mean being mean. It means knowingly doing harm, especially when it involves deception or manipulation. According to Zambrano, if Lively's team knew the texts were stolen, and she, or her representatives, still used them to build a public smear campaign, that crosses a dangerous legal line. It shows intent. And under California law, that's the one thing that can pierce the armor of anti-SLAPP. The implications are huge. If Baldoni's attorneys convince the judge that Lively acted with malicious intent, it opens the door not only to discovery, where emails, texts, and internal discussions could be exposed, but also to potential damages. Lively could be forced to testify, her legal team could be held accountable, and the entire case could move from media drama to courtroom disaster. Zambrano warned that this isn't just about clearing Baldoni's name. It's about dismantling the very legal protections Lively is relying on to stay out of the crossfire. And with every new filing, that possibility grows more real. The complaint drops a bombshell that changes everything.
This looks good for Baldoni, right? He's like, we want to make it all public. And sometimes lawyers can do this knowing that they can't actually do what they say they're going to do.
The Van Zant lawsuit, the very legal case that was supposedly used to justify a sweeping subpoena, was never real. According to the documents, this lawsuit wasn't filed to resolve a genuine dispute. It was created to serve as a smokescreen, a setup. Its sole purpose was to create the illusion of legality, to make it seem like the data collected, emails, private messages, internal communications, was obtained through proper legal channels. But once investigators began pulling the threads, that illusion fell apart. The names, the timelines, even the claims in the Van Zandt filing didn't hold up under scrutiny. And the deeper they looked, the clearer it became. This wasn't just bad lawyering. It was a coordinated tactic designed to sanitize the theft of sensitive information. When the truth started to leak, the response was immediate. Both director Justin Baldoni and producer Michael Abel amended their original complaints. They didn't just accuse the opposing side of playing dirty, they charged them with outright illegal conduct. Wiretap violations were added to the list, suggesting their calls and digital conversations may have been secretly recorded or intercepted without consent.
In fact, what he wants is a successful movie. He wants to protect the movie, and all through the text messages, you'll see over and over and over again him saying, I don't want to hurt her. I want to protect her. Let's give her what she wants.
That's a felony. They also accused the parties involved of invading their privacy by accessing files, conversations, and personal data they had no right to touch. But it didn't stop there. The most explosive claim came last: fraud. Abel and Baldoni alleged that the opposing legal team, backed by Lively's Circle, knowingly constructed a fake lawsuit to manipulate the court system, using legal tools not to protect truth, but to cover up a campaign of targeted harassment. The fraud wasn't just in the paperwork, it was in every move that followed, every email obtained, every article leaked, every behind-the-scenes power play that silenced creative voices and twisted the narrative. This wasn't just sabotage, it was a blueprint for character assassination disguised as legal procedure. And now, that blueprint is in the court record, for everyone to see.